Hi.
Hi. Welcome to Off the Shelf with Christine
And Katie.
It's the start of a new year and lots of new books as well. So get a jump start on which books you may wish to read with this list of books that we have had our eye on and can't wait to read this upcoming year. Well, no one can, really predict which books are going to be those runaway hits.
Yep.
These titles have been getting quite a bit of buzz all around.
And so as always, settle in, grab a cup of your favorite beverage, and enjoy these recommendations. And always feel free to read them now or add them to your TBR for the future. Let us know in the comments which of these picks that you would like to read or any titles that you would like to recommend us. And as always, if you wish to be notified of new videos, be sure to like and subscribe below.
But for now, and as always, let's get on to those books. Katie, what's the first one you have for us?
So the first one that's coming out in January of this year is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. And it's a sequel to The Ninth House, and the genre is supernatural / paranormal, like supernatural fiction / paranormal fantasy. It is about wealth, power, murder, magic. The Ivy League is going straight to hell in the sequel to The Ninth House. Find a gateway to the underworld. Steal a soul out of hell. My Simple Friday.
Yeah, it's a simple plan.
It's a very simple plan, except for people who make this particular journey rarely come back. Very exciting. I know a lot of people who love her. I haven't read it, but I've seen it a lot at the library.
Yeah, it's really.
Yes. So this is the one that I know the world is excited by. Christine.
Next up we have Spare by Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex.
If you don't know who he is,
yeah,
well,
this is a memoir,
and
it's being billed as telling his story at last. It is expected to cover the death of his mother and why he left the royal life behind, and that's pretty much all the speculation we know of what this book is going to contain, and I think that's why it's being such a big buzz.
Yes, pretty much. And there's also the Netflix show that has been coming out, so if you want more info on that before the memoir, it is out on Netflix. I believe all episodes are now officially up, so you can go peruse that and enjoy the tea. Literally British tea. And the next one that we know is coming out that I know our patrons are looking forward to is The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. And it's also coming out in this month of January, and it is a psychological thriller / gothic fiction. And it is set in Italy. It is inspired by Fleetwood Mac, the Manson murders, and the infamous summer Percy and Mary Shelley spent with Lord Byron at a Lake Geneva castle where Frankenstein was born. Very strange combination, but should be interesting.
It should be interesting. And right on the heels of Where Frankenstein is Born, we have How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. And this is a horror psychological fiction. It's a heartfelt, terrifying, and funny story of two siblings locked in a battle over selling their late parents' house. It just so happens that the house wants in on this wrestling match.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Alrighty. So the next one we want to recommend is called A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, and that's coming out in February. And it is a fantasy novel, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to it, especially if you read the prequel called The Priory of the Orange Tree, which came out in 2019. It's a really big, bulky book, but it is filled with even more dragons, magic, and lore. So I know a lot of people are looking forward to that.
I think it's another bulky book too.
Oh, she likes big books and she cannot lie.
Next up we have the book I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca Mackay. And that's also coming out in February. And this is a psychological thriller mystery fiction, which I know a lot of our patrons like that genre. It's a new novel from the author of the Pulitzer Prize and National Book Award finalist, The Great Believer. And it's about a successful podcaster and filmmaker is invited to teach at the school where her roommate was murdered.
Oh, joy.
Yeah, she has been content with her past and moving on until now when she's back at the school and begins to question what she remembers. Was the wrong man convicted? Is there still a killer on the loose?
To be determined.
To be determined.
Okay, and the next one that I know our patrons are looking forward to is called Maureen, a Harold Fry novel by Rachel Joyce. And it's also coming out in February, and it is contemporary fiction. And it is a sequel to The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. And obviously 10 years ago, Harold Fry set out on a 600-mile walk to save a friend. Now his wife, Maureen, has her own pilgrimage to make. Only she can finish her journey her husband started.
I read the original, the Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, which was just a really nice kind of quaint book. So I'm like kind of looking forward to this one coming out.
Nice.
Now, next up,
we've never mentioned this author before.
Never before. One of our favorite debut authors from
Yes.
last year, I believe it was. She has her sequel out now, her next book, The London Seance Society by Sarah Penner, and it's due out March of 2023.
We're so excited.
Yes. And Katie, why don't you get us started with a book that we might have mentioned once or twice before?
Maybe several times, but we will never stop mentioning it.
No.
The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner.
Apothecary by Sarah Penner. We've both read it. We both love it.
Love it.
I'm going to give you Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. Yes. And this is another one of those historical fiction, supernatural fiction books. Interesting combination. But for those of you who may not know, this is the author of The Lost Apothecary. And this comes with a spellbinding tale about truth, illusion, and the grave risks women will take to avenge the ones they love. This was a quote from the publisher. It goes, "May mercy be upon the man who finds himself the enemy of a vengeful medium." That tagline alone makes me
amazing.
Can't
I'm
wait.
looking forward to it. Yes. She still has like her great like supernatural things mixed in, but I'm looking forward to it so much. And we both have arcs, so we're really looking forward to reading it.
Can't wait.
Okay, and the next one I'm going to recommend is Hello Beautiful by Anne Napolitano. It's coming out in March, and it is fiction. And it centers on a lonely basketball player and the warm family of 4 sisters, think of Little Women, that he marries into. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Next up, we have Old Babes in the Wood by Margaret Atwood, and that's also coming out in March. This is a short story collection and from the award-winning author of The Handmaid's Tale. And these are stories that look deeply into the heart of family relationships, marriage, loss, and memory, and what it means to spend a life together. I think the last story collection she put out was around the time of The Handmaid's Tale.
I think so.
So it's been a while. So
Yeah,
looking forward to, I love short stories sometimes.
Yes. And one of the very popular authors that we've seen around the library is writing a new book next year, and it is called The Only One Left by Riley Sager. It is coming out in June, and it is obviously a thriller, it's standard tales, but it is about a 1980s gothic tale about a caregiver named Kit who must work for a woman named Lenora, who was accused of a gruesome massacre in 1929. Lenora has been rendered mute by a stroke, but wishes to tell her side of the story over a typewriter.
Book within a book, maybe?
Maybe. That'd be interesting.
Interesting.
I've seen it before.
Next up, we have CROOK Manifesto by COLSON Whitehead, and this one's due out in July. It's billed as a literary fiction, but I'm thinking it might have some historical fiction aspects based on what we've heard.
His last one also.
Yeah, and it's the 2-time Pulitzer Prize winning Colson continues his Harlem saga in a powerful and hugely entertaining novel that summons 1970s New York in all of its seedy glory.
His last book was also in Harlem.
Yeah,
so it very much that way.
They didn't indicate whether it's an actual sequel to the last book, but it kind of sounds like it might be.
Interesting.
We'll see.
Acevedo is coming out in August, and it's described as Latino fiction, and it's from the National Book Award winning author. This is her first novel for adults. She usually writes for YA, and it is a story of one Dominican American family told through the voices of its women as they await a gathering that will forever change their lives. Dun dun dun.
All right, and then we also have Evil Eye by Atef Rum, and that's coming out in September, and this is billed as a cultural heritage fiction. It's a striking exploration of the expectations of Palestinian American women, the meaning of a fulfilling life, and the ways our unresolved pasts affect our present.
And I just want to note that Christine wrote down in the list here, this is her haha, can't wait.
Well, also coming out in September, and I'm like really excited for this, is another Percy Jackson. This is Percy Jackson and the Chalice of the Gods by Rick Riordan. And it's a teen fantasy. For those of you who may or may not know, Percy finds out he is the half-son of the great god Poseidon and goes off on all kinds of adventures. And we're going back to Percy, finding out he's going to college and how he's going to balance college and his mythological adventures.
So I hope he likes his dorm and all the accessories.
Yeah, like this series was.
I can't imagine they mean college like they mean our college.
I don't know, so I'm kind of curious. I loved this series. I loved reading it with my kids. I loved reading it for myself. So I'm really looking forward to finding out what Percy's been up to.
All right, well, great.
So,
Yes, and hopefully you found a few that you like as well. We're curious to see when the end of the year comes, what's been the most popular book. Obviously, this last year was mainly Colleen Hoover took over, so we're curious to see what becomes the most popular book. But as always, if you have any please let us know in the comments so we can check them out as well and add them to this list. And obviously, we'll see you next time. We can look at the books our patrons love the most in February.
all right. Take care.
Take care.